Apologies for the delays. We've been having some technical glitches here in the room. But thank you so much for joining us for this information session on GAFSP's ninth call for proposals. We are delighted to see such a strong interest from across our member countries, supervising entities, and partners, and we really look forward to a productive session today. I hope all of you can see the slides.
Sorry, this is one of the two interpreters. So we are not assigned, so we cannot translate into French. Sorry about that. You have to give us the languages, to assign languages to us. French, English.
Yes.
Or
Apologize.
English,
I think
French.
our colleagues, Mariam, gonna work with you on the background. Is that okay? Yeah.
Miriam, can you assign me as co-host? I'll do it.
Okay, good. Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, still sorting all that out. So what is GAFSP and why does it matter? For those who may
Excuse
be
me, we're
new,
not assigned yet. I'm not assigned as an interpreter. I can't translate.
No, sorry.
sorry.
She said that they are trying to sort the issue. They're trying to solve the issue. So we will not be translating for the time being. When we are assigned, we're going to translate, okay?
Alex, also people are waiting at the lobby. Please allow them enter, please.
You can contact Mariam.
So many people are
They are
waiting.
joining. They are joining the meeting.
okay, thank you. Is everyone in now and nobody in the waiting room?
No, they are joining. There are two people joining.
Okay, great. And also, yeah, we hope to sort out the interpretation. Apologies for that. So let me go back to what GAFSP is and why does it matter. For those who may be newer to the program, what does GAFSP stand for? The Global Agriculture and Food Security Program is a demand-driven, country-led financing platform. This means we do not impose solutions. We respond to priorities that countries themselves identify. Our focus is on high-impact, scalable investments that strengthen the long-term resilience of agriculture and food systems. In a world of increasing food price volatility, climate shocks, food and nutrition insecurity, this mission has never been more urgent. Next. So GAFSP has actually grown significantly since its founding almost 15 years ago today. Today, our portfolio stands at 2.46 billion US dollars with US 1.88 billion or about 77% in grant-based financing and an additional 576 million through our private sector window. Through grant financing alone, we have reached almost 25 million people across 51 countries. These are real farmers, families, and communities whose livelihoods have been transformed. Just 2 months ago, we completed our eighth call under the producer organization window, awarding $38 million to 16 organizations. So that momentum is carrying us directly into this ninth call. So what is our vision for the ninth call? Let me talk about the three reinforcing roles and how we are thinking about GAFSP's strategic role going forward. Under our Vision 2030, we see GAFSP playing three reinforcing roles. First, as an incentive setter, driving innovative and integrated approaches that raise the bar for what agricultural investments can achieve. Second, as a connector, linking smallholder farmers to value chains and bridging the gap between public and private financing so that no viable investment opportunity is left unfunded simply for lack of a catalyst. And third, as a de-risker, helping unlock investment for the communities and geographies that are most underserved and where the barriers to entry are the highest. These three roles have been reflected in the call guidelines and scoring criteria for proposals to demonstrate in a concrete manner. Now, let's move on to the specifics of this call. We have approximately 163 million US dollars in grant resources available, and we expect to fund anywhere between 6 to 10 projects. Eligibility is restricted to the 58 IDA-only member countries. And for those who don't know what IDA is, it's the International Development Association, and which targets the poorest countries in the world and with the greatest need and the strongest case for concessional grant financing. The proposals will be evaluated by an independent technical advisory committee on a 120-point scale across three categories: country readiness and needs, proposal quality and implementation readiness, and special aspects, which my colleagues in the coordination unit will cover in detail. So what will today's session cover? Over the course of this session, our team will walk you through the eligibility criteria, the proposal requirements, the evaluation process, and the timeline in detail. We want to make sure every eligible country represented here today leaves with a clear understanding of what a strong proposal looks like and how to submit one. So my ask to all of you is very simple. Just come to us with your questions. This is your opportunity to engage directly with this wonderful coordination unit we have here before the actual submission process begins. And so we want to make the most of it, and we would like you to make the most of it. So thank you very much for your time. And with that, let me hand it over to the team to take us through the details. Back to you, Shijie.
Thank you very much, Shobha, for the opening. And it's really exciting for us to really see a lot of the participants here today. I think just also some housekeeping rules. Now we have reached 182 participants. And then, while I going through, the core guideline regarding the scope, eligibility, the process, and if you have any questions, you feel free to, post it on the chat. We have also colleagues available to answer any questions you may have. The presentation will be around 30 minutes, and then we will leave enough time for the Q&A. So bring your questions, and we hope that you can really have a better understanding. Okay. So as Shobha has mentioned, so this is like first we want to give you an idea about what is eligible for to be funded under the GAFSP. So basically, there's two types of outcomes. The first is the food system outcomes, is have a broader range from productivity, market linkages, reduced vulnerability, improved entrepreneurship, livelihood, and improved institutions. So one myth I have heard recently is that people think, GAFSP can only financing activities related to nutrition. That's not true. So we do finance a really broad areas of activities, as long as they're really targeting for increasing food nutrition security. And the second strand of activities is the cross-cutting outcomes related to climate, women, and nutrition. And you are required to pick at least 2 out of the 3 cross-cutting priorities. And one note here is that, based on our past review of the prior proposals, please be more specific about, what is actual activities you have, identify really the risk, the gaps, and also come up with really concrete activities and avoid using very generic terms like climate smart agriculture. You need to be more specific. So this slide goes to the eligible countries. As Shobha has mentioned, it applies to 58 IDA-only countries. And then, so the countries in bold are those that have never received GAFSP country grants before. So they will receive some small extra points just to really, for us to really encourage that the GAFSP can reach to more countries in the world as possible. Okay, the next part is the scoring criteria. As Shobha has just mentioned, the scoring, we're looking at three broader categories. The first is 20 points to country readiness and country needs. And then this covers like country readiness that will go through some details for both the African Union country and the non-African Union country. There are some difference in terms of what you need to answer. And the second is a proposal quality and implementation. This is really the bulk of the proposal about. It's 75 points in tackling quality, field change, results, budget, implementation readiness. And we're going to go to one by one. And then the third category is the special aspects. As what Shobha has laid out earlier, the NICE core has been set up as to operationalize the GAFSP's strategic plan, Vision 2030, as a de-risker, connector. And so we would like to, reflect it in this proposal from the special aspects. And first is about country readiness. So as mentioned, it's really alignment with your national agriculture and food security strategies and also investment plans. And you would need to also answer why the project is the best use of GAFSP grant funding compared with any other resources that the project may co-financing with. And also describe also the interministerial stakeholder coordination. And also for, as mentioned, for the African Union countries, you would also need to answer some additional questions on the CAADP related in terms of both backward and forward looking. Backward is that, how you align with the fourth biennial review. You will look at your individual country score that has done and to make some assessment on how your performance was in the past and how do you do using the GAFSP grants to adjust them, and also alignment with the newly became effective for the Kampala Declaration and including some of the implementation guidelines. So as mentioned, also the country needs that we will give some additional 3 points if your country is in the categorized as fragile and conflict affected countries, and this will be in the World Bank the country list. You can find them. I will also provide it here. And then also additional 2 points for countries that have never received a GAFSP country grant in the past, as has been, highlighted in bold in the priority table. So the second category is proposal quality. As mentioned, it will be composed of first 35 will be on technical quality, which is really what is the key problem the proposal is aimed to address and what's the development objectives. And please also, you will describe the components, the subcomponents, and also including at least 2 out of the 3 cross-cutting thematic areas. And you would also be clear about, how you're gonna face with some proposed timelines, and especially if your project working with 2 supervising entities, investments and technical assistance, or even just 1 supervising entity with both investment technical assistance, and this will be important to note. And also in terms of your evidence for intervention and targeting, and why how do you do your geographic targeting and also beneficiary targeting. And also the last is more like post-project sustainability. And I think, because GAFSP is grants, we aim to have the grants play a catalytic role as such that, like the sustainability beyond the project time frame is also critical. The second part is 10 points on the safe change and the results framework, which, as you know, you are very familiar with like field change, you develop it with a graph with some simple description about, how your output gonna achieve the outcome and, impact. So just to articulate the logic, the intervention logic, and also if there's any risks to achieve the results, and if so, and especially for the substantial risks, please be also clear about what the mitigation measures would be, and have a clear and also costed like mitigation measures. And then the indicators, as you all know, needs to be like specific, measurable, and achievable, the SMART indicators. And please refer to the GAFSP amenity plan. This is both in English, French, and Spanish for you to develop the results framework. So the next part is a budget. So the budget is also very important because a lot of times the proposal would say, like they want to do all kinds of things. However, if they're not really demonstrated in the budget, it will be also very difficult for the technical advisory committee to really assess. So for this call, we have provided a separate Excel template. They have two tables that both are required. So you need to provide fully disaggregated information by component, by activity, and also, because this call require also co-financing. So please also break down by the financing sources. And important is also, to give us a concrete idea about how did you estimate, justify, the grant amount you are proposing, and also for each component activity, give some detailed information for the unit cost, quantities, and then it will be really helpful the tech to really assess how concrete, those activities are and how much is really based on the actual cost table you have. So the last part about the proposal quality is implementation readiness, which is 20 points. It is that you need to have sound institutional arrangements and roles. And, also it is important that for us to know whether there was a track record for the implementation entities from implementing like similar type of projects or activities in the past. If you have evaluation of other projects of similar size, please also attach that for our information for the tax, as part of the assessment. It'll be really helpful. And then if there's any capacity gaps you have identified, as mentioned, be clear about what the mitigation measures would be. It may also include some long-term capacity building as well, for the sustainability aspects as well. So only if it's applicable. And also there was a question about, how you have arrived at this proposal. So please also be clear on, the consultation process you have had with the different ministry, the government, also other stakeholders, private sector, civil society organizations, farmers groups. So this evidence of consultation process will be also part of the implementation readiness, as we would like to make sure, there's this really broad ownership of this project, and the design is really grounded in a broad consultation, and as such, it's ready to be implemented. So now let's come to the special aspects. So here, as mentioned, we have the special aspects both have those aspects that needs to be, we given points will be counted in the assessment, and some is only for information only. So the first is innovative integrated solution. So innovation is that, okay. Okay. Innovation is that, need to be like this innovation needs to be context specific and then also being proven. It can be technological, financial, institutional, or policy. And, as you know, innovation can really varies, depends on the context. So please just also be clear and also being specific about what type of innovation, how it is really helps to achieve the project objectives. And then it is really, and I think in general, so like the template has a page limits, so we want you to be really being very focused. And the number of the words does not matter to how much you can score. It's really the quality and how you really have your answers really to the questions and being specific and not just providing a long essay. And then the next is integration, which also will give you up to 5 points. As mentioned, we have the 3 cross-cutting outcomes: climate, gender, nutrition. And in the meantime, there's some other, themes, which are biodiversity, water, and soil. So this integration is that, how you can integrate 2 out of the 6. And why it also helps you to achieve project objectives. And then the next one is co-financing. Please note that here for this call, we require co-financing, and we actually also require co-financing from clearly secured and committed co-financing resources. This means that, like you have to really provide evidence of your co-financing, which you can see in the Annex 2, which I have specified, it is secured co-financing will be more like, you have the official documentation confirming the commitment, some like, signed financing agreement, budget allocation letter, and some government appropriation document, or some approved project document if this is additional financing. And then, so this is we can also be we're gonna go to the documentation and can come to this point again. And here we want to be clear that both cash and in-kind are treated equally, and in-kind including some of the government contribution and some farmers labor contribution as well, and also for co-financing that outside of the official development assistance, ODA, will be get 3 points additional points. And for co-financing that the amount are beyond 50% of the GAFSP requested amount. Let's say if you request 20 million for GAFSP, but your co-financing comes more than 50%, more than 10 million, then you're gonna get additional 4 points. The next private special aspects is private sector engagement. You need to answer 2 sets of questions related to, really the marketing opportunity. How did you identify, some of the market opportunities related to private sector engagement? And, need to be also clarified on the roles that private actors would play in this proposal. And also please, of course, farmers, producer organizations are all private sectors, but here we meant private sectors outside of farmers and producer organizations. And it can be, for example, participatory financial institutions, banks, and all like, aggregators, SMEs. So please be specific on the role they would play. And also there will be a question about, how, whether this grant help to create an enabling environment for sustained investment beyond the project life. So the next special aspects are just for information only. There are some questions, both one is related to global partnership and the other one is about linkages with other GAFSP financing tracks. So, you just need to answer some simple questions about which global partnership you have aligned with. in your proposal development or in the proposal itself. And that can be the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, and can be, the UN Food System Summit and other global funds. And then the last one is a linkage with the GAFSP other financing tracks, which can be the other country-led, PO-led track, or blended investment financing track and private sector window. So in our website, you can find information for all of the country-led, PO-led, the blended investment financing track information. If you think, you happen to be in the same country, you read it. If you think it's worth of exploring synergies, you can contact. We have the contact information there. And for the private sector window, like that are by our IFC colleagues, we have an Annex 3 in the templates. We have listed all of the active GAFSP private sector window projects with the URL for information for you to know better, and also have the contact if you need to reach out. So the next one is the application process and the documents. So Annex 2 in the proposal guidelines have all the clear information about what documents you would need to required. As mentioned, the number one is the proposal completed, and it can be either English or French, and have also the page limits, no more than 20 pages. And then second is also the budget spreadsheet. As mentioned, 2 budget tables are required. And the third is national strategy and investment plan that are relevant to your projects. And of course, very important that you need to have a government letter and needs to be signed by the Ministry of Finance and or the Ministry of Planning. So someone dealing directly the relationship with the supervising entities. And then they need and also a letter from line ministry, like Ministry of Agriculture. So you need to also confirming the letter needs to confirm the priority, co-financing if applicable. Please just read the details in the Annex 2, have much more details than what I included here. And also a sector working group endorsement letter. So you can, just using your existing donor coordination mechanism in the country. But if not, you can convey a meeting with all the locally active supervising entity by GAFSP. So this is just really an idea for you to really ensure that there is GAFSP is not, creating fragmentation. It is really having a more coordinated efforts among both within the government, but also among the development partners in the country. And the next number 6 is the attestation letter from the supervising entity to confirm that the supervising entity are willing to serve as a supervising entity, and then also they have done appropriate quality assurance for the proposal that are submitting. And then the next one, as mentioned, is also the co-financing evidence is secured or clearly expected. You need to have the signed agreements or expected, can be letter of intents or MOUs. So that would be really be looked at. You have to have a co-financing as mentioned. And the last one is, if you have any associated project documents. For example, if this one is complement an ongoing, like additional financing to an ongoing project, or, with a pipeline projects. So you just provided documents for us to have a better idea about how this really fit into the overall project scope, and also have some clear evidence about some track record of the projects. So in terms of the process, you prepare the proposal, and you need to have the consult your stakeholders, and mentioned, the farm organization, private sector, civil society organization, and donor partners. and as a sector working group. And also you need to combine all the documents have listed here in the 8 documents categories that I have just covered. And also need to engage with your supervising entity. We recommend you to engage with them as early as possible. You can select one out of the 5 investment supervising entity. They can both cover your investment technical assistance activities. This is Africa Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, IFAD, Inter-American Development Bank, and World Bank. And then you are optional to have a second supervising entity, which is either FL or GAFSP for technical assistance only. And you're not, it's not allowed to have standalone technical assistance. You have to have an investment and the TA is attached to it. And as mentioned, secure the endorsement from those letters, which are really important. And sometimes, maybe at the last minute, you found, you may not be able to get the letter, get the signature from your minister or your permanent secretary. Then, all of the efforts you have put in the proposal preparation may get wasted. So the deadline is September 15th. So we have 4 months for your proposal preparation. So this is just the process after the selection process after submission, and you have the tax review, and then we expected to have the allocation decision made by January 2027. So this is just some additional information you can find on our website. We have the info email for you to contact. We also have the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, continuously updated on the website. I think currently you can go to our website. We already updated with some of the questions we have received recently. And after today's session, we expect to receive a lot of questions. So we're going to update that. And then also just for information, this recording of this info session will be also posted on our website, on YouTube. Then, for any of others, your colleagues who missed it, you can also access it. So this is some very important context for you. As mentioned, you need to engage with the different supervising entity as early as possible. Those are the contacts you can reach out to. And then, they can help you to identify, some of their colleagues, in-country colleagues for you to engage. Also important is that, they will be also the ones if you have any more like a supervising entity, internal related questions, you can also feel free to consult them. And of course, the GAFSP's mailbox is also available if you have additional questions. So here, I just want to give you a summary, key takeaways, start early. I'm really glad, you're joining here today. And that means, you really started thinking about it and engaging with your supervising entity, stakeholders now, and secure, really the requirement letter and from the government, from your ministry and the documentation. And then just really read the guidelines, for the end, what the requirements for how the scoring will be conducted, and also the annex for the documents, and also have a secured co-financing evidence. And let's mention earlier, the lengthy or generic description provided just for the completeness of the proposal will not receive additional credits. So please be really succinct and concrete to responding to the questions. Thank you very much. And now we're open for questions. And also here, just this is a list of the fragile and conflict affected situations which can receive 2 additional points as mentioned earlier. So now we are open for questions. I hope yeah. I think that we have received many questions on the chat, right? Sorry, I'm just
Yeah, you can
raise
can I
your
come
hand.
in?
Yeah.
Yes, Malindi from Gomina Seeds Investments, Malawi. We produce certified maize and legume varieties. We have endorsements from IFAD and World Bank through our government gateways. My question is simply if I could see the slide from the focal points. Can I see that slide again? Sorry, I missed it. Before vocal points. Focal point. Yeah, before this slide. Thank you. Additional information. Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's all for my questions for now. Thank you.
So anyone, please raise your hands if, okay, I see okay, I see one Russia from EFAT, please come in. And also, anyone come in, please introduce yourself and be specific about your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the presentation, very clear. I just had one question because in the list of countries that are in conflict situation, you have countries that have de facto governments. So just wanted to check with GAFSP whether there's any requirements for projects submitted by countries that have de facto governments, and whether the implementation can be government-led or should it be led by a third-party implementation agency? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Russia. I think maybe I can quickly respond to this. So yeah, I think for the eligible countries, the 58, so that is really there was no flexibility on that. But then in terms of your implementation arrangements, it can be government-led or in some situations, which we had in our prior projects and portfolio. For example, in Yemen, they have to rely on some, third implementation party to implement that. I think that is also allowed. And as long as that is the current situation in the country, and you have also received the government endorsement letter from the Ministry of Planning or Ministry of Finance. So I think yes. So it depends on the situation that has been allowed. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, because I've been looking at my PowerPoints and also looking at some of the questions. So I don't know if any other questions coming. That's all my colleagues.
May I come in? This is Demaka from Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please.
just the good opportunity in Ethiopia now. We are preparing like investment proposals as one UN with different UN agencies, and the direction is from the resident coordinator, and that investment proposal, it will be submitted to government, to mobilize the private sector or any type of investment, and any type of this type of application. The guidance is to pick, the titles or the proposal areas from that investment documents. As we are working jointly with other UN agencies like WFP, what is the guidance from your side? Can we proceed with joint proposal with other UN agencies? Over.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll quickly answer. So just very clear. So, all the proposal has to be submitted by the government, right? So it has to be coming from the, government email accounts, government officials. And if the government, they choose to engage with what kind of supervising entity, as mentioned, the investment ones can be the development banks, the regional development banks, or the World Bank or IFAD, and then they're also as optional to work with the technical assistance. So if you're interested in working with the WFP, and then you can choose up to you can only have one optional one to have a second supervising entity, either FAO or WFP for providing the technical assistance. But of course, if within the proposal, the government decide to, have a more like implementation party that are like sort of like service provider, technical service provider, that is also allowed. But in your submission, you are only allowed to have one investment supervising entity, and optional one is a technical assistance supervising entity. And yeah, hope that is clear to answer your question. Okay, so now I see Jung Kim from FAO. There was one hand raised.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think one of the colleagues raised a question in the chat, but I want to be clear. So my question is, if the country, the government select two supervising entities, let's say one bank and FAO, in the case, how does grant how does grant of this modality separately, in the case if FAO provides the technical assistance service, how do you fund it? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. That's a very good question. So just very clear, for example, the proposal submitted by government, let's say from Bangladesh, let's say they have like 20 million, and then the government would specify, right, like 15 million will go for the investment and 5 million for the technical assistance. And then though it can be, this 50 million would go with the World Bank and 5 million would go with an FAO. And for these two supervising entity, you are supposed to really coordinate with each other, because they're supposed to be this really one grant, one proposal. And we really encourage, the two supervising entity can really have like, joint preparation mission. And, sometimes, some depends on your entity. Sometimes they have even one project document, or submit two different documents are very well coordinated, synchronized to the GAFSP later. So this is how, the modality, how this works. The grants were split into two. One goes to the World Bank, one goes to FAO. And then, and also I think there's some question that, on top of the grants, there will be some fees will be assigned to, given to the supervising entity for your supervision activities. And then also one thing to note is that, for the investment supervising entity, like, the grants is passing through, right? Like is passing through the development banks and the investment supervising entity, and it goes to the government. But then for the technical assistance supervising entity, a lot of times, maybe they would more directly involved in the implementation. Hope that answers the questions.
Thank you, Yang. That's very clear. To follow up on the response, how many percentage will be getting by FAO of the service charge?
Okay, so in terms of grant for the technical assistant, that is really a government decision, and you need to really consult the government. But in terms of your service charge, the standard for all of the supervising entity is 5% on top of the grants. And then the 5% does not go to the government, right? It goes to a supervising entity. For FAO specific, I think I think also consult your focal points. I think Benoit or Patricia, that would be helpful. And so yeah, sorry if I don't have the number on top of my mind, but I think it's 5% is the standard. Okay, I see two hands are up. Is Alexandra? Oh, okay, there's Alexandra first, and then Alexandra next.
Okay, thank you. Sorry if I misunderstood something, but I'd like to know, as UNDP, if you'd like to apply for this opportunity, So you are saying that the government is the one that needs to submit the proposal, right? Can UNDP can have a role as an implementing partner with the if endorsed by the government?
So yes, be
And
very
then has the technical supervisor and the investment supervisor.
Yeah. So thank you, Alexandra. I think, sorry if I was not very clear on that. So to be very clear that the NICE call for proposal is a country-led. That means it's a government-led. As a government really, decide what is a priority. So there will be really on the driver's seat. And then they choose to engage with any of the supervising entity that are officially, affiliated with the GAFSP, as I'm now showing on my slide. And if UNDP one wants to work as a service provider and the government is interested, they within the grants the government received, they can work with UNDP as a service provider. However, UNDP itself cannot serve as a supervising entity. And then, but then, like I said, you can work with the government as a service provider. And then that part is really how it's really designed by the government. I think you can work with your government counterparts on that. Okay. So
can I come in?
yeah, sorry. The next one is Alexandra Larry.
Yes. Hello. How are you? So we're private-led company, but we already talked to the government and they are very interested to apply to this. I wanted to ask, the government, like you already said to Alexandra, is in the driver seat and she decides everything. But as a supervising entity, can we be the one that apply and via, of course, letters from the ministry and from all the ministries, they that would also say that we are the one that applying on behalf of the government, or this is not allowed?
You're on mute. We cannot hear you.
You're muted, Shijay.
Okay, so yeah, just be very clear, no, that private sector and the other civil society organizations or like, other UN agencies, they are, even the supervising entity, they cannot apply directly. It has to be a government entity applying for it. It has to, like I said, usually it's through the nine ministry, Ministry of Agriculture applying for it, but with the letter coming from the Ministry of Finance. So this is really a government led projects, but we definitely really encourage them to working with private sector, with civil society organizations, farmers organizations.
Okay, thank you.
So the next question is from Seth from EFAD.
Hi, yes. Hi, thank you so much. I just would like to get some clarification from you. Basically, we have ongoing project to support the government, which is like 5 or 6 years to go. In that case, if government are interested to use the gas proposal to work the complements the current project that we are implemented, the project that we are funded to the government at the moment. Is that possible? This is number one. And number two, is that possible also to use the current projects that we are implemented as co-financing, you treat it as a co-financing to the gas proposal? Over from my side.
Thank you very much, Seth. So yeah, indeed, as mentioned, the co-financing, it can be additional financing to an existing project if there is already one. So that can be counted as co-financing. Yes. I think we have this If you see the number line such documents. So if you do that, right, like please provide the current ongoing projects documents and any evaluation or most recent progress report that the tech can release, like assess it together.
Right, just a follow-up question on this. If it is the project just started, is that eligible or it had to be the project that good performance, at the midterm stage or
It is
something like
eligible.
that?
It is still eligible even for the pipeline projects, right? It's eligible. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. But you would still, right, like provide as much documents, like the design document, for example. And then if you don't, like, for example, if you the project already being approved, let's say 1.5 years ago, usually you would supposed to have some sort of progress report. I mean, depends on the supervising entity. I think, like, please be submitted more also the most recent documents, and otherwise that may also raise some questions. Okay. So
Can I come in here?
okay. Yeah. Please introduce yourself. Yeah.
Yes, Malindi again from Gomina Seeds Investments Malawi. My question is on uh yeah, I think to tag on to the co-financing aspect of it, we're subcontracted by two government entities, so Ministry of Rural Development, but also from our Ministry of Agriculture. One is financed by the World Bank, one by IFAD. Can rural development also qualify for this opportunity? Thank you.
So just clarify, you mean Ministry of Rural Development, right, of Malawi?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, it's a government, yes. I mean, of course, if the Ministry of Finance or Planning, they can also have the letter to say, this project, this proposal would, through an internal coordination process, we would prioritize this and working with the Ministry of Rural Development. Yes. Sometimes, we may receive two proposals from two different ministries within the country, and sometimes, that can create issue. And then it's always the Minister of Finance whose letter would say, this is a prioritized, this is one we endorse. So yeah, like I mentioned, like this letter from the Minister of Finance or Minister of Planning is very important.
Okay. But we can also provide all three. Actually, even with the Ministry of Finance, we have an endorsement, but for a separate program. But I think, yeah, if it's all together or one either or, yeah. I don't know which takes the most priority. Is it the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Agriculture?
So both are required, and so yeah, both are required. And then you can have a letter. Sometimes some country have a letter signed by both minister or the permanent secretary. From both ministries. So, but then the requirement is that you have to have both.
One last question, and my final one. What are the expenditure limitations? Because with the EFOD funded project and the World Bank funded project, they're both redundant in that they're financing capital expenditure. So what about our working capital? Is this still within the purview of this opportunity?
So yeah, for that, I don't think we have very sort of specific about what can be financed in terms of cost, the category. However, you do need to really answer this question. why this project is the best use of GAFSP grant, right? Why you don't use the World Bank or IFAD's resource for that? So really, I think you would need to really answer those questions, because sometimes because GAFSP resource come as a grant, and then it will be different in some. For example, you may have IDA credit, right? Like as a loan for some other country context. So it really needs to really justify why you use it, what's the value addition of using GAFSP resource versus other resources or co-financing resources you may have. Hope that answers the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I see two more hands raising, which is Langa from FAO, and then the next one will be Didase. Yeah, please, Langa first. And also, if you had questions on the chat, my colleagues Yuri and Kunda, if any questions you think is worth of answering it in person, please also come in afterwards. Thank you. Langa, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, thanks. Mine is really just to seek clarification regarding the specific role for the supervising entity, and maybe just to confirm whether I've understood what you have presented to us. So the proposal is country-led, meaning we are targeting government ministries to apply, and then the funding is received via a supervising entity. However, I think you indicated that a second supervising entity could also be a direct implementer. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. This is how we see in reality. And because some of the technical assistance maybe means that you're a direct implementer. However, I think please also be very transparent with the government about in terms of the cost, right? Because in the notification letter GAFSP sent to the government, just really will say, for example, you received 20 million. And then sometimes, if just receive, if there's any tension later, they will say, why, this is some supervised entity has kept some. So I just want to, to make sure this has been really discussed clearly with your government counterparts about the implementation modality, how the fund would flow, and how much will be really, be used for direct implementation. Thank you. The next one, Didase.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Didas Kairanga in Burkina Faso. I have two questions. My first question is this call for proposal also sent to the government? My second question is, since the proposal is submitted via the government, is the government allowed to submit itself alone without partnering with supervising entity and get this FSP fund? Now, my third question would be, you told about 169.65 million globally, and how much would be the maximum per project per country? Just want also to confirm if this have to be one proposal per country, which will be funded. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Didase. I think these are all great questions. So just be clear that we advocate this call for proposals through different channels, and one is really to really through our steering committee, which are composed of some regional representative, right, from Africa, from Middle East, and from Asia. So different. They will also be really the messengers, really passing the information to their constituency. In that the government constituency, they would be. I mean, of course, we also rely on all of you, the supervising entity and partners, really to spread the words about this call for proposal. And the government will be the one really, as mentioned, on the driver seat to apply. And the second question is that they have to work with one supervising entity, at least one, as what is listed here, at least one investment supervising entity. and they cannot submit the proposal by themselves. Just that's to be clear. And then also the third is that yes, one proposal per country. One thing I did not cover is that some we had in the past some small countries, some for example some Pacific islands, they have submitted one joint proposal. In that case, if they have one joint proposal, then they cannot apply individual grants for each of them. So it has to be really one proposal for country. This is also why the letter from the Ministry of Finance is very important, because they are the ones really doing the prioritization about where the resource should go, feeding into their whole financing landscape. And then I think you have also had a question about maximum amount for the grant. As mentioned, earlier, the total resource envelope we have for this call is 163 million, and we expect to finance 6 to 10 projects. So you can do some math. We don't set the maximum amount. You can put it in the proposal. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I don't see any other hands. I think. So yeah, I don't know if there's many questions may come through the chat. I don't know my colleagues, Yuri and Kunda. Do you think you want to come in for answering any questions directly here?
Thanks, CJ. On my side, I have been frantically typing, trying to answer all these wonderful questions. There were repeated questions on the same theme, but actually, I think those people already spoke up. So there's nothing more for me to add, and I will continue trying to answer the questions. But if anybody feels that they would like a verbal response, now is the chance to ask. CJ, thank you.
Hi, Shijay. On my side, I think similar to Yuri, yeah, we're in the chat trying to answer as many questions as possible. There is one question where we have, I think Yuri has already directed the concerned party to get in touch with us directly. Because it involves a bit of sensitivity, and this is related to certain fragile countries that may not have functioning governments and so on. So that's a separate conversation from this. So that the concerned party should get in touch with us directly, and then we can address it from there. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Kunda. Yes. And Yuri, I mean, also, yeah, for responding and typing all of the answers. So, is any other questions you may have? Please, yeah, feel free to come in. We have another 20 minutes, but maybe we're very efficient addressing all of your questions. So, okay. I have one hand coming from Seth from IFAD, Tanzania. Please come in again.
Yes, saying CG, I just want to understand better from you what you mean by innovation, because we need to be a bit clear on that. Some things that good new in some country, but it's not new for other country. So what you mean by that in what context? So that would really help us a lot. Number two, you says that only one proposal from one country. So is that any, I mean, guidance regarding, their focal point in the ministry who know this, or I mean, what a process that we are talking about within the Ministry of Finance, how they know about this and procedure here and there, over from my side.
Thank you very much, Seth. Those are both very great questions. So in terms of innovation, and we have put a definition. We tried to put a definition in the core guidelines and also the template. So basically, what we had to really define it broadly, right? As as the challenge you have rightly pointed, because it can be innovative for one country, but not necessarily in another country. And then, so it's really, I'm just reading this loud, is that it's defined broadly as a process by which individuals or the organization implement the interventions that deliver positive food and nutrition security impacts based on the technological advancement or new ways of organizing doing the business that go beyond business as usual in the local context. And this can be really different type of innovation. Can be technological, can be just some for example, digital, you use the AI for some of the activities, and farmer registration, use the digital tools, or like for example, e-commerce. It can be also financial, for example, use guarantee fund in some project context, and then that has considered being innovative, and or institutional, right? And then or policy related. So yeah, and just to be, you provide some more being specific about what the innovation is and why it is innovative in your context. I think that would be really helpful. And the second question about, how really the prioritization process, coordination happens. So as I go back to this slides about really the government ladder, right? Government, the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Planning would be the one that's really do the final prioritization to ensure the interministry levels coordination. But also in the meantime, right, you have different, you have the development partner working group in the country, and I hope they are active. Like this is also an opportunity. You can say there was a GAFSP grant that, for example, we IFAD would like to submit a proposal and would like to get, there are endorsement. So this is really how the coordination could happen. Like mentioned, you don't have an active working group and or donor coordination mechanism in the country, then you may want to convey a meeting with all of the GAFSP supervising entity currently active in the country, and just to also having for them to be aware that that this is IFAD plan to do, and this is how really the coordination prioritization happen in reality. I'm sure you work very closely with your partners in the country and also your government counterparts, so this can really happen organically. Thank you. Hope I answered your question. And I see two more hands coming. And one is from Coco.
Yeah.
Yes, Coco, please come in. And and then the next one, okay, Coco, and the next
Thank
one
you.
is Peter Nem. Yeah, from FAO. Next, please.
Thank you very much, Yang. This is Coco from WFP Ghana. I have two questions. Now, when it comes to alignment with national agriculture plans, does it need to be explicitly stated or referenced or just broadly aligned? And then the second one is that when it comes to alignment with GAFSP global initiatives, how important is it to strengthen the proposal? How important is alignment with other GAFSP financing or global initiatives important to strengthen the proposal?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. So you can see that, right? Like those alignments, global partnership, and linkage with other GAFSP grants, GAFSP financing tracks. These are for information only. And I think, because we do consider there are some maybe challenges, right? For example, in terms of there's no existing GAFSP grants in one country, so that might be challenging. However, I think, if you can really explore some of those synergies, or I think that would be really encouraged. But then, from our formal scoring, this is for information only. And I think, sometimes it can really come as beneficial for your projects. For example, if there's a private sector projects by FC active, and then, you also need to really working with the private sector, right? So in that, it may come like scored positively in some other aspects. Or, for example, you're working with financial intermediary, a bank, and that might be supported by our blended investment financing. So that's just saying that officially this is only for information only. However, some of the synergies you explored could really positively play beneficial to your whole proposal quality to make it, like either you can hit the points for the private sector engagement or some other aspects, implementation readiness or the proposals, the soundness of the proposal design. So, and in terms of all your, alignment with the global partnership, it's really, really how you think, that's helping really inform you for your design. And I think, there are great reference for you to look at. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is from Peter Nem from FAO. That's what I see.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to point this issue is something very, very critical. It's about the technical assistance. And I think this is something pivotal in the development of the concept note or the proposal development as well. And I think as technical assistants or assistants, since we are at the earlier stage of the development of the process, I think we have more insight to support very well and closely the government in the development of the proposal. So first, my first question is how does GAFSP recognize the contribution of the technical assistance like FAO just in the development or to have more let me say yes, more relevant proposal just to submit the contribution of the technical assistance of FAO for example, for instance. So the second issue is we in the presentation I think we have three levels. We have the financial structure is regarding the supervising entities. We have also the national institutional capacity regarding the government, and we have the technical expertise for the technical assistance. For this, I think how does the GAFSP assess the complementarity between all these the three let me say the three key key points in this process. So that is my true perspective. Okay, thank you.
Shijie, you're still muted.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was not able to unmute myself. Okay, so thank you for the question. Yes, I agree that technical assistance is very important, and it's important for the long-term capacity building and sustainability. And I think as it's how really assess it is, as I mentioned, is part of the whole scoring overview, right? Like how it's really reflected in the overall proposal quality, implementation readiness, and then some of the special aspects and also country readiness. So yeah, I think really like in terms of how to assess, that is really just needs to be organic part of it, and the tech would take it into due consideration. I mean, I don't know if my colleagues have any additional answer for this. Okay.
Hi, Shijie.
Yes.
No, not really. I think much of what has been asked is really at the discretion of the TAC. The the quality of the proposal and what you put in there is what is then going to be assessed, and that's independent of, say, the coordination unit that just facilitates this process. But there is an independent technical team that really looks at the quality of the proposals.
Okay.
Over.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kunda. Yeah. So I see only one more Coco's hands up, and we just want to say, we have 8 more minutes left, and Coco, over to you, and then the next one
No,
is
it's from the first
the
hand
last.
I raised.
Okay,
Thank you. Yes.
great. Thank you. And Tafik from EFAC, please.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for the presentation and clarifications and answers. I'm actually, in a way, seeking your advice rather than clarification. I mean, you are looking for implementation readiness and capacity and innovation, but also seeking to prioritize fragile states. And some of these fragile states actually have weaknesses in terms of capacity and innovation. It's not necessary to do something innovative to support them, and innovation actually makes things more complex sometimes. So if we're targeting simplicity and low implementation capacity, it doesn't mean that the need is not there and the ability for GAFs to do something useful is not there, but it does not necessarily manifest itself in very innovative solutions or in existing strong capacity. Some are just coming out of conflict, and their capacity is not yet demonstrated. The capacity of the attrition possibly in the capacity may have happened, and so on. So how would you advise us to deal with that challenge of we want to show that the quality of the proposal is high, but it might be missing these elements because of the context?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Topic. I think that's very relevant questions. So, yes, I think, what we have learned, also you were in our GAFSP Knowledge Forum, we had a session on the FCS semantic evaluation. I think, what we did learn in the past is that, for some of the fragile countries have a more simplified design, and, can or better match their implementation capacity is really more, can be more likely to succeed than having overly complicated design. So those are the factors the technical advisory committee will take into consideration. And in terms of the innovation, I think one thing is that because GAFSP grants that we've been always hoping there is some value addition using the grant resources. In that sense, that's why our definition for the innovation is very broad. It needs to be context specific, right? So you can say it's maybe already very common in some other fragile country, but in this fragile country, maybe this is something new you have tested. But I think for this, I know because this is really coming from our strategic plan alignment. I think we also have our senior strategic advisor, Gabriel. So I don't know if Gabriel, you want to come in to answer any of the questions on the special aspects and innovation in fragile country context. Thank you.
No, thank you, CJ. No, nothing to add from my side at this point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gabriel. Okay. So yeah, so I hope I have answered your question, Topic. And
yes,
okay,
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess we
Shishir, sorry to interrupt. There's just a new chat. I believe the question was, have governments, it says received the invitation, but I think the question was or maybe Zelalem, if you are still on, you can ask the question. But the question is, I'm not sure if the earlier question regarding whether government received the invitation is answered. I think it's perhaps, has the government been notified of the call for proposals, if I'm not mistaken?
So So yes, I think, like mentioned, we have tried to really promote the course through different channel, like mentioned, through our steering committee, our regional representative, donors, supervising entities, and also, more public information sources. However, I think, there's maybe some government who is still not fully aware. So I think, we really rely on a lot of you. We are trying to also double down of our efforts in really promoting this core to really raise awareness about this as much as possible. We hope, our prior communication channel has really reached the government, but we're gonna, keep working on that. Okay, so since we only have 3 minutes left, I hope, I think we really answered a lot of your questions. So I think the most important thing, is really you can review the core guidelines and then also templates. That's really included like all what I covered here in my presentation. And that is really sort of your red book and for you to refer to. And if you have any additional questions, as mentioned, you have you can send it to us. Or we're gonna update the FAQ, and we also have the SE focal points here for you to consult, especially if you for some government you haven't find a supervising entity or that you would like to work with. This is all the contact information. You can reach out. And also we will have another second information session on June 9th at the same time. So, and also, this recording will be posted online. So we hope, like this can really reach to as many interested government applicants as possible. So with that, I think I will just close today's information session. And we just really want to thank you for really, really active participation and great questions raised. And thank you so much. And we're really looking forward for really great proposals to be submitted by September. But in between that, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.